Hey YouTube, Gons here with another video. I just recently finished posting Google Chairman predicts the end of internet ? And it got me to think about a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a while, which is augmented reality. Now, augmented reality is a live, direct or indirect view of a physical real-world environment whose elements are augmented by computer-generated sensory input such as sound, video, graphics, or GPS data. It is related to a more general concept called mediated reality, in which a view of reality is modified, possibly even diminished rather than augmented by a computer. And there are several examples of how augmented reality is going to affect us. You have books, things are going to be different. Now, Google just poured in $542 million into a mystery virtual reality venture. Google Glasses didn't really take on what they had hoped, so they're going to do something else there. And of course, there are articles and stories out there about augmented reality being the future of furniture shopping, or like this one, the power of the beauty book. This is just an example of how you can put an iPhone or other device in front of your magazine and you will get a different experience. So that's augmented reality. Now, just recently, this week, a couple of these stories here came out and they have interesting implications. First off, the Microsoft HoloLens. Let's watch a little bit of the video that Microsoft put out to promote this new product.
When you think about how you experience technology today, it's like behind this glass screen, and you're kind of stuck. It feels cold. We've unlocked the screen.
Really what we're trying to do is break down the walls between, technology and people.
There it is. Break down the walls between technology and people. This is the stated goal of transhumanism. It is the kinds of conditioning that's been going on with shows like Lab Rats. And so it's no surprise that the technology is being displayed here early in 2015. Let's just watch a little bit more of this video, and then we'll go on and talk more about what's going on here.
This is the next generation of computing. This is the next PC.
It's basically a see-through display that you wear, and it lets you see holograms in your world, in your space, all around you.
A hologram is made out of light, which ultimately allowed us to pour digital assets over the real world so that humans can essentially be entertained and be empowered to do things in brand new ways.
Okay, so there's some more video there of what we're talking about in terms of augmented reality and how this is going to change the way we interact with the world. And this is, I think, what Eric Schmidt from Google was saying, the internet's going to disappear. It's not going to disappear in the sense that it's going to go away. It's actually going to change in that our interaction with it is going to be different. And there's some aliens there. So speaking of aliens, how does this relate to some of the ideas of a great deception? Now, here's another video. I'm not going to play sound, but basically the whole idea of how this sort of technology will help us or affect us is interesting, because in the story that I was alluding to in the last video called Utopia Chronicles, basically what happens is that you can create a proxy of yourself and let the proxy handle your actual physical body, your day-to-day, going to the restroom or eating or that kind of stuff, even interacting. Your proxy will handle it. It kind of is an artificial intelligence of yourself, while your consciousness will go out and splinter into different virtual worlds and interact with different places and basically do whatever you want. And a lot of problems arise in the story and things like that. So that's kind of what I think this is heading towards. And I mean, talk about split personalities and multiple personality disorder. That's exactly what they're trying to push for here. I mean, this is almost insanity in terms of how you react with the real world. I think it'll be helpful in some sense, but in another sense, people are going to be pretty much addicted to this. Now, here is where I want to pause just for a second. This is a holographic example of how this technology will help, and it has something to do with Mars on this particular example, and it ties directly into the space program. And I've been talking about the secret space program, and I will more in the future, but this is where the two worlds of the idea of transhumanism and the secret space program really collide. JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and if you're familiar with JPL, its history is very interesting, with Jack Parsons and the founder of Scientology doing rituals out in the middle of the desert, trying to open portals and summon the beast and summon Mystery Babylon and things like that. That whole idea of opening portals to allow entities through, I think this is manifesting through these technologies, or at least is opening the gate. Now, why do I think that? Now, this technology here that NASA and Microsoft have come up with, it's called OnSight, and it's basically a virtual model where holograms and through the HoloLens, people will be able to interact with the Martian world and, either work on things that are broken or whatever. It's basically the holographic avatar that the 2045 crowd, and if you don't know what I'm talking about with 2045, go watch Age of Deceit 2, Alchemy and the Rise of the Beast image, and I document what the people are trying to do in terms of the 2045 agenda and achieving immortality and things like that. So this is where the two areas meet. And in terms of opening portals, this is very strange and interesting, because what we're starting to learn through science is that there may be other dimensions out there. Now, of course, they've always said that in terms of there's other dimensions. We live in a multiverse. But Universe Today just came out with an article, and several other places sort of copied or told the story. This one is called "The Entire Milky Way Might Be a Huge Wormhole That's Stable and Navigable." That's really interesting. Now they're saying that you can navigate through our galaxy. And in the article, what's fascinating to me is the mention of dark matter. And it talks about Paolo Salucci, who's an astrophysicist, and he explains this idea of dark matter. And what he says is very interesting. He says dark matter may be another dimension, perhaps even a major galactic transport system. In any case, we really need to start asking ourselves what it is. So here we go. We have potentially wormholes or portals, which dark matter may be a different dimension. We have hologram technology coming out. We have that in connection with Mars, another planet. And then let's compare that and look at the social conditioning that's happening through a video game called Ingress. Now, if you don't know what Ingress is, it is a video game. It is actually an augmented reality video game, massive multiplayer. It's GPS dependent, and it's very fascinating. Let me just play for you a little bit of this video to get an idea of what Ingress is about.
Grid 142, latitude 78 degrees.
Portal in range. Resonator deployed.
Now, the idea in the game is that these different locations and pieces of art are portals. They're openings and gateways.
Portal attack detected.
And in the game, there are two factions. You can either be part of the Enlightenment
Enemy agents in your
or
area.
part of the Resistance.
I know that there are others out there.
You just have to know where to look and know what you're seeing.
What if they're already among us, but we don't realize it?
You can catch the truth in a glimpse, and it vanishes. They are coming, and I must be prepared to work with them or fight them.
Deployment failed.
So that girl just captured this portal here. So basically what happened here is that the girl came to this location, this portal, and she captured it for one of the factions, and this guy was unable to attain it. And the goal here between the Enlightened and the Resistance is that they're trying to control this thing called exotic matter. And the idea here is that humanity manifests these things through the mind, and each person is considered an MU, a mind unit. That's the people in the game. Now, this is not just a game in terms of it's out there, just on a video screen or something like that. This is in real life. So there's a story that came out in England, Ingress, the game that reveals Google's secret war to control London. Basically, this guy was talking about how this game, Ingress, is basically taking over. Now, there's people secretly walking around London because London apparently has the most number of real-life portals for the Ingress game. Now, these are all portals here, shown here in the graphic. And basically, he was talking about how there are people walking around trying to control certain areas. And in one instance, he talks about how there are a couple of people walking around looking suspicious. And he says here at the very end, Hanky, who's one of the players, I guess, told me their key phrase for Ingress was "see with new eyes." He was talking about landmarks and portals, but to me it means the players. Teams of agents are fighting a secret war for control of my local post office. I know that now, and I can't unknow it. The world is just a little bit more interesting as a result. So there's people walking around these big cities and, areas that have a lot of artwork, and each of these places of art are considered portals all around the world. And this is an ongoing game. So, there's no winner or loser per se. It keeps going. And this is very fascinating when considering the conditioning, if you think about what's happening. And sometimes there are even entities that come through the portal that they're not sure which side they're actually for. Now, this plays into an idea that we've talked about on Canary Cry Radio. It's called the Art-elect War. We had a conversation with Dr. Hugo de Garis, and he has a book called The Art-elect War, Cosmists versus Terrans, a bitter controversy concerning whether humanity should build godlike, massive, intelligent machines. And he thinks there's going to be a war, a massive war in the future where those who embrace the technology and those who go against it will battle. And this is very fascinating. All these things kind of tie together. And of course, if we look at the Bible, I know it's kind of a 180 turn to talk about the Bible, but if we look at Ephesians 6:12, it's very clear. It says, "We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, and the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places." Now, all these entities here, the rulers, the authorities, cosmic powers, these are intelligent evils, intelligent spirits that are not flesh and blood, but interact with us through the mind. And so when we're talking about a game like Ingress, where, the whole premise is that the human imagination and the human mind manifests different things through artwork and stuff like that, and these are portals and gateways into the mind, we are really talking about the opening of portals and perhaps the opening of the abyss. Revelation 9, the fifth trumpet, talks about the opening of the abyss. And the fascinating thing here is that these entities come out. They're like locusts. They are locusts, and they're given power like scorpions, and they torture people on the earth for 5 months. But it's interesting. It says, "And in those days, people will seek death and not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them." Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that something like that is perhaps these entities coming through the portal into the mind, but actually manifesting physically as well. Again, the line is blurred here with this whole augmented reality thing, and torturing people so that maybe their physical bodies are tormented or their mind is tormented, but their physical bodies are dead. This is the trappings of the soul. And if you look at Revelation 18, and it talks about the fall of Babylon, one of the things that the merchants of the earth will weep for is human souls. They had control over human souls. So just things to consider here. Now, I personally, going back to Revelation 9, I don't think we're going to be here for this trumpet judgment. In fact, that doesn't mean I believe in the pre-trib rapture. Actually, I'm against the pre-trib rapture, but that's a whole nother topic that I'll get into some other day. But I do think we will be out of here before the trumpet and bowl judgments. So we may not be here to see this, but it's very interesting that we are starting to see the kinds of technologies that display this idea of opening portals in the mind with augmented reality, where reality itself is being changed and things of the mind are becoming part of our physical experience. So just things to consider, and its connection to space well, that plays into the whole idea of the Great Deception and possibly aliens, along with, the whole concept of the Milky Way being navigable. I mean, everything seems to be converging to this great deception that will come about. So keep an eye out, be watchful, and thanks for watching this video. God bless.